Hello, everyone. I'm going live with you, like always. Going live with you, monitoring the situation in the world. You gotta check out so much that's happening in the world. Too much is happening in the world. So, multitasking on several devices. Speaking about this guy has to have the biggest ganas, right? The biggest, right? Because he actually went to Cuba and is there now, right? Um, and a lot of people think that Cuba is such a bad place. Um, that Cuba is such a bad place, but Cuba is actually has um, a lot of beautiful things and a lot of things that are for the people, right? It's not so capitalist centered. Um, it's more like people centered, right? People centered, and a lot of people get upset, right? But they've still been able to survive a crippling embargo, a even though they've really tried to stop them. My name is Celso Garcia. Double tap on the screen. Also, like the live, share the live, subscribe to the channel before we start anything else. I always forget to advertise myself and to speak loudly, right? About subscribing to the channel. Every subscription counts, every person counts. I want to hear your opinion wherever you are. I want to hear your opinion. To me, your opinion is very important, right? Right. So I want to hear what you got to say. I always want to hear what people have to say, what the viewers have to say. It's very important to me. Um, your perspective is very important to me because the only way I'm going to grow is with your help. So let's get right into it. So there's a whole flotilla, a lot of people going to Cuba to bring humanitarian aid. As you know, it's a dangerous time to be traveling to Cuba, considering that Donald Trump has already said that he's going to um, do regime change. The president of Cuba said dare let Donald Trump dare try to do what he wants to do, right? Um, there'll be resistance, right? There'll be resistance if he dares to do what he claims he wants to do and what he did with other countries. It's not gonna go that well as if as he thinks, right? It's not gonna go as well as Donald Trump thinks. So he better not even dare um, try to do what he did to other countries, right? That was a Cuban president. He dared Donald Trump to do what he did um, to other countries, which is crazy, right? Because China is sending aid to Cuba as the power grid had shut down and collapsed. They figured it out. They send solar panels to shore up its and it's investing money in this infrastructure. Also, Russia told Donald Trump that he not to get involved with Cuba. Cuba is a strategic ally of China and Russia, um, just like Iran is. And um, so Hasan is in Cuba. I want to watch this video of him speaking a little bit about Cuban history. And I want people to realize that Latin American history is not really taught in schools, not really taught. They only teach you the basics, right? They don't go in depth and go deep into what the history of Latin America is. They don't show you about the Taino, um, that most of the islands were Taino, uh, uh, Indian, for the lack of a better word, but there were indigenous people in these lands, which were Tainos, right? Which were in Puerto Rico, um, the island of Hispaniola, which is Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and Cuba, and parts of Jamaica, right? So we have a long history. And then in the Dominican Republic, it was the first place where Christopher Columbus landed, and it was the first place where they established the triangular trade, right? That was the first stop where they refueled, and also they brought the slaves to in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, which is the capital. So a lot of us are mixed race, right? A lot of us are mixed race, and a lot of us, um, but we have a history of imperialism and control, manipulation, you want whatever you want to call it, by the United States, right? The United States has always controlled many of these Latin American countries because of the Monroe Doctrine of policing the countries in the Southern Hemisphere, or also countries in the Caribbean. So that includes South America and also the Caribbean. And then now the Don Road Doctrine, which is Donald Trump saying that he wants any control of anything that happens um, anywhere in Latin America. And you saw the removal of Maduro in Venezuela. And now Donald Trump is threatening that he's going to also uh, investigate Petro in uh, in Colombia. He's going to investigate Petro in Colombia, and any Latin American leaders that oppose him, he will be ready to remove them, including the president of Cuba, right? That he said he will remove him. So let me listen to Hasan Piker a little bit, right? About the
what that chatter's argument is, okay? Like, why can't Cubans figure out the practice of alchemy and materialize oil from the ground where no such product exists? It's a fucking island. The fuck do you want him to do? Castro took away my family store and held my grandpa in jail for a week. I've never met Castro. I've met my family. And based on that, I can say we 100 deserved to have that shit taken away. I'm so ashamed in how vile my family is, wishing for the deaths of our relatives and former countrymen. Our former store is now a pizza parlor. I hope to eat there one day in a Cuba free of embargo.
Yeah, there's a huge embargo happening in Cuba, right? A huge embargo.
Oh, that's awesome. Respect, chatter.
There's a huge embargo in Cuba, right?
Oh.
There's a huge embargo in Cuba that hasn't been resolved, right?
Turns out the government tracks a lot of data. And it's
right. So it's just a reality that the Cuban situation is not good. And Hasan is there in Cuba, and I'm here in the United States, right? We definitely need to cooperate to make sure that I'm able to upgrade my camera, right? And upgrade everything I have so I could keep bringing you live channels and live stuff all the time, information that's important and it's critical to um, everything we have, right? Let me see. Let me share this out. Let me share this live out. I forgot to share it out, but it's all good. So Hasan has some big cojones, right? Some big cojones to be going to Cuba when Donald Trump has been saying that he's gonna take over the island and he's gonna remove the leadership and he could do as he wants with Cuba. So I gotta give him credit, right? He has big cojones for doing this, right? Serious. He has to have serious cojones for doing this, and I gotta give him credit for doing this. So, will the United States make any moves on Cuba? I don't know. Donald Trump is so unpredictable, right? Um, Donald Trump is so unpredictable. Hit the like button, everyone. Hit the like, hit the share button. Um, I appreciate you. Hit the share button, hit the like button. Uh, yeah, Donald Trump at this point in our history is very unpredictable. We don't know exactly what he's thinking in his head as he thinks. Um, People don't know, and it hasn't been advertised very much by the media. But when Donald Trump announced he's going to deploy 2,500 Marines, um, we already have about have close to 50,000 Marines in the Middle East. We have about 50,000 soldiers in the Middle East already, um, and so it's very possible that we could hit 100,000 soldiers if we keep ramping up, escalating right in the little excursion. And there's been a big debate in Congress if um, why have there not been any hearings? No one wants to challenge Donald Trump. The committee chairs, all the committee chairs are not willing to challenge Donald Trump, and have been resisting to challenging him. Right? They don't want to challenge Donald Trump in his whole, no matter what he does. Right? They're like, oh, we're not going to challenge him because we don't want to be seen as anti-American. And you saw Trump's new poll within MAGA is that 100% of MAGA supports Donald Trump 100% of the time and thinks that he has a master plan. And you just got to give it time. If you give it time, he'll have the answers, and one day he'll explain to us the strategy that he's employing and why he's doing the things he's doing. They trust him blindly, right? They trust him blindly and feel as if um, eventually they'll get answers. So right now we're obligated, or we should blindly support him. But to all the people that ever been deployed, I haven't been deployed. I haven't been a member of the military, but these are scary times, right? To have young people or kids that are young, that you think that if this keeps escalating at the rate it's going, that it's possible they could be pulled in to another war, right? It happened in Iraq. It happened in many other places. And we thought that the times of huge wars were over, but it seems like this is going to be the mother of all wars, right? It's going to be bigger than Iraq because both sides just keep threatening each other and saying how they're going to unload on the other side more bigger weapons, right? And yesterday, Donald Trump was embarrassed, right? Donald Trump was embarrassed because a lot of the allies have turned on him, including China. They've been speaking out, right? They've been speaking out a lot about China, right? They've been speaking out about China a lot. So let's see this video. Let me share it. Let's watch it. And so Donald Trump has been quietly deploying more soldiers to the Middle East and also threatening even our own allies, even our European allies. We've been threatening them and telling them that if they don't get on board, anyone and everyone is possibly can be on the other side of receiving any type of attacks, right? So anyone could be on the other side of any attacks, right? And so I ask you, would you want to send your daughters, your sons to this type of situation that keeps escalating beyond the excursion? Remember, Donald Trump said it was going to be a short excursion and it was going to last long. But now we're seeing that he's actually sending
gas assets. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest.
2,200 Marines aboard 3 U.S. Navy amphibious ships left San Diego this week and are likely heading to the Middle East, according to 2 U.S. officials. The USS John F. Kennedy is already in the Gulf region, carrying 5,000 troops. President Trump, though, has maintained he's not planning for boots on the ground in the war with Iran.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
3 weeks of war, and today Iran is still holding out despite relentless U.S. and Israeli attacks. The IDF saying they've launched strikes in the heart of Tehran, announcing they killed another top leader, Esmail Ahmadi, head of intelligence for Iran's besieged paramilitary force. And Iranians are marking Nowruz, the Persian New Year, with deep uncertainty this morning. In Israel today, the war-shuttering celebrations for the end of Ramadan. Israeli police seen here dispersing worshippers outside Jerusalem's Old City.
Get tax ex-
right? They're deploying a whole bunch of troops quietly, and most Americans are just sitting back saying, hey, don't worry, it's going to be short. We have more than 2 weeks in there. Things haven't gotten any better. And so it just keeps going, right? It just keeps going. And so thousands more being deployed silently. They're not really being advertised.
Critical oil assets in the Gulf. Kuwait saying a refinery was hit by Iranian drones for the second day in a row today. Qatar now says the Iranian strike on the world's largest natural gas field knocked out nearly a fifth of its capacity.
A fifth
a
of
loss
its capacity.
$20 billion in annual revenue.
Wow.
And the cost of the war visible at the pump. Oil
$20
hovering
billion.
around $100 per barrel. Brent crude oil pushing past $110 a barrel. And back here at home, gas prices still climbing. The national average for a gallon of gas about to hit $4. That's a stunning
$4. And that doesn't mean that in the summer. That means in the summer it's going to go up because there's additives that are added to the gas in the summer to cool it down, to make the gasoline less. And they already warned people that your Con Edison bill and your electric bill will be going up the delivery charges will be going up because it's going to cost more money to be able to deliver gas to you. The price of gas is going to go up. The price of gasoline is going to go up. And also the price of natural gas is going to go up at the same time. So these are strong problems that Trump tried to downplay, right? Hegseth tried to downplay, and they're just very convinced, right, that it's just gonna fix itself. Everything's gonna go back to normal.
Around from just a month ago when it was under $3 a gallon. Olivia Rubin, ABC News.
So we're gonna go up like crazy, right? We're gonna go up like crazy. And the message they're sending people, hey, you guys are exaggerating. Don't worry. Everything's okay. And right, everything's okay. Don't worry. You guys are exaggerating. Sharing the wrong window. Let's see. That's not it. So they're going around the circuit of news outlets and letting people know, don't worry, things are good, right? As far as Trump.
Month ago. Then on Friday, the markets closed in the red. You had the Dow down 119 points, the Nasdaq down 206, the S&P 500 down 40. Clearly, the markets are asking for naval escorts through the Strait of Hormuz. It's, as we've heard, not in the cards just yet. But a fifth of the world's oil supply flows through this strait. If this disruption lasts for months, can the U.S. economy absorb the shock without a recession?
First of all, it's not going to last for months. President Trump's team has briefed us that it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, beginning 2 weeks ago, and that we're ahead of schedule. And so, second, if it did last for a long time, it wouldn't really do a lot of harm to the U.S. economy. Now, certainly, there'd be pocketbook issues that we'd have to address, but the bottom line is...
Think the best of the best don't herd together? Rethink how to...
So... they're pretty much saying that it's only temporary, right? The argument is that it's going to be temporary. So according to them, we're in a strong position. We're not even going to feel it. It's only going to be temporary. But why they keep telling people this? Why they keep telling people this?
From artificial intelligence, we've got a capital spending boom because of the big beautiful bill, and we've got incomes growing the fastest we've seen since back around 2018. And so all the fundamentals of our economy are really, really strong. If Iran thinks that they're going to get President Trump to back down because they're going to make our economy weak, then they just don't understand economics.
The energy secretary was asked this morning on Meet the Press about what the Iranians are saying, that you could see oil prices at $200 a barrel. His answer to the anchor of that show was, don't listen to the Iranians, or I would doubt what the Iranians are saying about much of anything. But there are some headlines calling out the fact that he didn't answer the yes or no question. So do you expect that number could happen? $200 an oil, $200 a barrel oil. Is that possible?
You know what happens in White Houses is that people will come on a show like this and then they'll tell you what they think. But the best measure of what people
we hit $200 of oil, right? Will we hit $200 a barrel of oil? Because it's
Or what
going
you should
there.
think about the future of oil prices is what we see in futures markets. And I actually believe
No. Future markets are just people betting on oil, if oil should go up or if oil's going to go down. So we shouldn't be counting on futures market to dictate how we determine if oil is going to go up or down, because this is just speculation, right? People are speculating if oil is going to go up, if oil is going to go down, and they're just betting on it. It's like they're gambling, right? So how can we depend on just that when we see the actual hard numbers is that crude is going to go down or up. But another thing you have to see is that the Brent crude oil is going up, and you know what the sick part about it all is that MAGA supporters, Trump
what we see in
supporters
futures markets, which is
agree
that
with
this is going to
everything.
end relatively quickly. In the futures markets, they've got the price of oil dropping about as fast as I've ever seen it, going down in the end of the horizon to below $50 a barrel. And so that's what financial markets are saying right now. So financial markets agree with what President Trump says, which is that this is a temporary shock, that we're not.
Oh man. Of course they're gonna agree with President Trump, because President Trump has gone after anyone that criticizes him or says anything negative about him. So they're gonna agree with him only for the sake of not getting him irritated or not getting him upset, and they don't want to be the ones, they don't want to be in the crosshairs of Donald Trump, right? So of course they're gonna say whatever he wants to hear, right? And then there's a lot of people
Going
kissing
to
his ass.
eliminate the harm from the disruption, but we're going to minimize the harm.
Okay. In the interim, the administration's already pulled a lot of levers. You have them temporarily unsanctioning Russian oil at sea, releasing barrels from the strategic reserves, waiving the Jones Act and invoking the Defense Production Act to ease, permitting offshore California. But this release of 172 million barrels from the strategic reserve, it will bring the sort of...
Wait up. Is this the same move that they criticized Biden for? Releasing the strategic reserves of the United States? This is what Biden did after COVID, right? That there was a shock in the supply chain, and they were criticizing him, and MAGA was talking about Biden being horrible and how he was touching the national reserves. And didn't Donald Trump attack Biden for the same thing? Didn't Donald Trump attack Biden for the same exact situation? Right? He attacked Biden for the same thing. Right? Let me see. Donald Trump attacked Biden for using the strategic oil reserves, right? And Donald Trump Donald Trump had a fit about this, attacked Biden even during the debate about this decision. Now he's taking the same decision that Biden took after COVID, after the problem that he created. So do people realize or want to admit that maybe Trump is not good with economics? Right? Maybe. Can we admit that Donald Trump is not good with economics?
Stores down by 41% to the lowest level since 1982. Is there any concern about that if the conflict widens and prices spike again? Are there still tools left in the toolkit?
Oh, for sure there are, but don't forget that we're the largest LNG producer on Earth, that the U.S. has lots and lots of energy that can come online, and that they can increase production and are incented to increase production if prices are higher. And so the markets are naturally going to recover from this, but mostly it's just going to be because this is close, as President Trump's team has said, this is close.
The thing is,
Close to the end. It's a near-term disruption, and Americans want the benefits of the global stability that we're going to have from stopping all the terrorism that the Iranians are producing. You know, if you go back and look in 1975, Iran was the 18th largest economy on Earth. Now it's something like the 50th largest economy. They've been destroying their own country, and they've been putting a huge amount of risk into investments in the Middle East. Once that's gone, then there'll be more oil exploration in the Middle East, and energy prices from within the U.S. and from around the world will go down.
All right, Kevin Hassett, thank you very much
Great
for
to see you,
joining us.
Jackie.
Always good to see you, sir. Thank you. Growing concerns over the
is that sounding crazy? So man, why do I gotta do this? This was the GOP. This was the Republicans when Biden decided to tap into the national strategic report. Right?
Billirakis.
Thank
Gentleman
you very
from Florida is
much, Madam Chair.
recognized.
Congratulations on your chairmanship, and I look forward to working with you. I rise, Mr. Speaker, as this legislation, in support of this legislation. It's high time to stop the Biden administration from continuing to provide China with oil reserves from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Under the current administration, we have only seen a war against domestic energy production. As a band-aid to cover up the consequences of Biden's policies, resulting in unprecedented high energy prices. It chooses to draw down the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, a critical national security asset, drawing down.
Why are you so angry? The strategic oil reserves should not be drawn down, right? According to this Republican lawmaker, right? According to this Republican lawmaker, we shouldn't touch the national reserves. And when Biden did it, they said it was un-American to do this, right? Un-American. We have amnesia in this country, right? We don't remember past yesterday or, past today. Right? So let's listen to the Biden when he decided to do the same thing.
As you mentioned earlier, the gas prices are going down again. Why would the U.S. need another SPR release from that 180 million barrels that you already announced? Why would you need that now if prices are already dropping?
But President Biden has said for months how he is committed to doing everything that he can in his power to address Putin's price hike.
All right. So tomorrow, President Biden will likely announce yet another release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve ahead of the midterms. This is the last of the 15 million barrels to be released. Shockingly, the releases end just after the midterms. Why does it matter? The SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is our only hope for oil during a war. Right now, it's dangerously low. President Biden used the reserves to fight high gas prices over the past year. And now, rather than 727 million barrels, it's at 409 million barrels stored underground along the Gulf of Mexico, which sounds like a lot. But you realize that that's just a 20-day supply of oil for America. The SPR is our insurance policy against the world's bad boys holding us hostage. It came out of the oil embargo of the 1970s. Well, there isn't an oil embargo per se, but a political revolt right now. This chart shows Mr. Biden's approval rating versus the price of gas. And 3 weeks from tonight, voters effectively offer a referendum on the president. You can be the judge if the timing is simply coincidental or if the president fully turned the strategic petroleum reserve into the strategic political reserve. Thanks for.
Oh, the strategic political reserve. So now, are you saying that Donald Trump is turning this into the strategic political reserve? Now that they made the decision of tapping into the emergency resources? What do you think, everyone? The hypocrisy, the double standard that they could come out of their mouths and say they're against the strategic oil reserves being tapped, and now allowing the strategic oil reserves to be tapped into by Donald Trump. The only difference is that when Biden did it, everyone was out in arms, attacking full length, going all out. But now that Donald Trump is doing it, they're all silent. They're all quiet. They all of a sudden cannot find their voice. They cannot find what to say against it. And they refuse to say anything against it at all. But they were ready to attack like attack dogs when Biden did it. But now that Trump is doing it, they
For
don't have
watching,
an
go to
opinion.
newsnationnow.com.
Now they don't have an opinion, right? Now all of a sudden, they don't have an opinion when it benefits them. And this is the problem that we have in the politics of this country, right? Is that they're so lopsided. The politics are so lopsided. The politics are so not up and up. It's not about what's good for the United States. It's not about what's good for America. It's no longer what's good for America. It's no longer what's good for human beings and for people that are trying to survive in this life, or for workers or regular people that are living paycheck to paycheck. It's all about ego and all about politics, right? Playing politics with lives, playing politics with Americans, playing politics with everything we do, right? So if you're not playing politics, would you be willing to send your son and daughter to war since you support Trump so much and you support all his actions? Will you be willing to send, your kids to war, right? Look at Barron Trump. He's military age, right? He's military age. He could go into war, right? So will he send Barron over to Will he send Barron over to fight in war, since he's so enthusiastic for war and for doing what we're doing? Is he that
I want to
enthusiastic?
influence you to clap for a man who's a great influencer. In fact, my son, Barron, said, Dad, you got to do an interview with somebody I hadn't heard of. But my son knew very well. He knows everyone. He said, Dad, this is before the election. You know, we won in a landslide, in case you hadn't known. But he said, Dad, you got to do an interview with a guy named Theo Vaughn. I said, who the hell is Theo Vaughn? He said, Dad, he's such a big guy. You got to do an interview. So he knew all the names. I didn't know the names. And where is Theo? He's around here someplace, I think. Theo, thank you very much.
Will he send his son? Like, right? Will he send his son?
That's Barron. You know, Barron, he said, you got to do with that. We had a good time, right? Had a good time. We had like 270 million people.
And that's the ego, right? That's the ego talking. But how many of you would do the same, right? How many of you would do the same? This is something that got a lot of people upset. It shows that the father of the airman killed in Iran said he never told Pete Hegseth to finish the job, right? So that was the issue. So would you be willing? He has his son. Would he be willing to send his own kids into war, right? Would Hegseth be willing to do that, right?
One thing with particular frequency, he has talked about studied Christian nationalism in America and why its influence is growing now under the second Trump administration. Robbie Jones, president and founder of the Public Religion Research Institute, and Melissa Deckman, the CEO of the institute, that I should note is nonpartisan. Robbie is the author also of Backsliding, Reclaiming a Faith and a Nation After the Christian Turn Against Democracy. That's coming out on September 8th. Thank you so much for being here with us. First, I want to start to just listen back on some of the biblical language Hegseth has used in his press conferences since the start of this war. Let's listen.
Our capabilities are better. Our will is better. Our troops are better. The providence of our Almighty God is there protecting those troops.
I'll close with scripture, drawing strength from Psalm 144. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. May Almighty God continue to bless our troops in this fight. And again, to the American people, please pray for them every day, on bended knee, with your family, in your schools, in your churches, in the name of Jesus Christ.
Why
So,
is he
Melissa,
using?
how unusual is this sort of rhetoric when it comes to an administration official explaining war objectives?
It's like, why are you using the Bible? Why are you? I don't understand. Why are you using the Bible to justify a war? Right? Does Trump demand? Does God demand the war from us? Does he? Why are we using biblical terms for war? I don't understand. Right? I don't understand. For destruction, for total destruction of each other. And that's what God asked for. God asked for, or the Bible asked for for people's lives to be taken. Is this bizarre or what?
I think it's very unusual, but I think it's more typical of Pete Hegseth, who has really brought his Christian nationalist views into his time as office as defense secretary. Robbie, did you want to add?
Well,
it's unusual, but he's doing it. And no one's saying anything about it. No one's willing
This
to.
is not atypical for Pete Hegseth. And the thing at the end, it's not just sort of general religious language. It is the specific language about Jesus Christ, right? So right there, it's very specific Christian. But let's not forget that it occurs in a whole context. He wrote a book called American Crusade, right? He has crusader tattoos on his body, right? Including the word Deus Vult, right? Which means God wills it. Now, this is the same thing that crusaders in the Middle Ages were shouting as they killed Muslims. It's the same thing that in modern times has been connected to white hate groups, including insurrections on January 6th, a terrorist in New Zealand who killed dozens of people in a mosque.
So everyone knows that Hegseth's connections to white supremacist groups, right? And we got this guy as the Department of War, or it used to be called the Department of Defense. Now it's called the Department of War. So we look for war. We're aggressive, and we change our whole perspective about being defensive. Now we are chasing war. But why are you using biblical language and for war? I don't understand.
Shouting Deus Vult. So it is this idea that Western Christian civilization is over against Islam and every other religion in the world. And that's the worldview.
So why, if in this country we have a separation of church and state, we don't support one or the other? Everyone can pick and choose what they want to do with their own lives. And so a government official using biblical terms during official actions would have never been allowed or condoned in the past. But now it's like, it's whatever. No one criticizes it or dares to
that
criticize
is behind
it.
these statements.
Right. And Pete Hegseth was asked about that, and he said, look, I'm a proud Christian. This has nothing to do with white nationalism. It's about being a proud Christian. But he has talked about and written extensively about this crusade against Islamism. And I think a lot of people might be watching all of this play out, hearing this rhetoric, and wondering how that is playing into the Iran war right now and how that might be.
So Hegseth feels like it's biblical. It's his obligation to attack Iran, or whatever you want to call it. Man, this guy is, in my book, he's horrible, right? In my book, Hegseth is horrible. He doesn't understand what the issue is, right? He's just a straight up white nationalist, even though no one wants to say that he's a white nationalist, but he's a white nationalist. He believes in white supremacy and the supremacy of one race over the other race. And he sees this whole war as a war between Christians and Muslims, which to me is worrying, right? To me, it's worrying that you see it in this light, because it's not fair to most people, because we have service members that are of different religion and are of different beliefs. And in this country, there is a separation of church and state, a separation of the believers or non-believers. There's no such thing. You can believe whatever you want, or not believe in anything at all. And the Constitution of the United States protects you from persecution of any type of prosecute you for mistreatment because of your religion, right? And for him to put this war in biblical terms over and over is kind of scary. It's also kind of worrying that he does that because why should we do that? Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? He's making us look so bad, but at the same time, he could do whatever he wants. He has his own prerogative, but he has freedom of speech. However, most government officials normally do not do this, especially not while representing people of different races and people of different religions. And so we're really in trouble as a country, really in trouble when we got white nationalists, white supremacists running the country, right? We're in real deep trouble when we got white supremacists running the country, right? That's the problem. We got a serious problem.
Shaping how he leads our troops in this conflict. What do you say to that, Robbie?
Well, I think it's exceedingly dangerous. And here's why. Because whenever, foreign policy, geopolitics, very complicated. It's about reading the things on the ground. This worldview, though, reads everything through the lens of good versus evil. And God is on our side. Evil is on the other.
You see Hegseth? He has all this, he has his suit, and you see the symbols that he has tattooed all over him. How did he become Secretary of Defense or Department of War with all these tattoos of white supremacists, or they say, oh no, they're religious tattoos. That's the way he says what they are, right? Crazy, right? As a minority, as a BIPOC person, this is dangerous. We don't want to see this part of America. That is ugly.
Side. And so it runs right afoul of anything like limits on war, even justifications for war, because if God is on our side, there's almost nothing we cannot do and be justified for it. So it leads itself to war crimes, to genocide. We know where this leads when this has taken hold. So I think that's why it's.
And so why are Republicans refusing to hold any hearings on what's happening, right? Why are they refusing to hold hearings on why are they refusing to hold hearings? That's my question. Why are they refusing to hold hearings? Man, they refuse to hold hearings on what's happening and demanding that they give answers because they don't want to distract away from the war, right? And Donald Trump canceled his trip to China in the middle of all this, right? In the middle of all this, right?
Bring in National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. Kevin, thank you.
But this
so much
is
for
what
coming
they
back to
say.
Sunday briefing. It's
They
always
just talk
good to
about
see
the
you, sir. Good morning.
economy.
So we'll start with this. Today's average for a gallon of regular, $3.70.
That was a week ago.
From $3.45 a week ago and $2.93 a month ago.
This was
Then
a
on
week
Friday-
ago. This was a week ago, right? This was a week ago.
Why it's so dangerous to assume that God and the good are on our side. And
so always assuming that God, the good, is on our side, that's always dangerous to the way we think, right? We think we're untouchable because God is in our side, right? A lot of people consider themselves Christian nationalists, unfortunately. There's a lot of people that agree with him. A lot of people that agree with Hegseth, believe it or not. Right? There's a lot of people that agree with Hegseth, and are Christian nationalists, unfortunately. Right? A lot of people agree with Hegseth. Right? A lot of people agree with Hegseth. Why do so many people agree with Hegseth?
But in this administration, what you have with Donald Trump is a champion of a lot of those policies. So from day one of the administration, he came in through executive orders and, for example,
So that's my question. Why do so many people agree with Hegseth and have this white nationalist, white supremacist belief in their belief system that the superiority of one race over every other race, and that no one else is allowed to be human, and everyone else is less human than a white male. If it's a white female, she's less than a Latino or BIPOC person. And then it gets me that a lot of Latinos still support Trump, still say that he's the best thing since sliced bread, right? They still support Trump no matter what. So, I mean, make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. Why do you support a theory of superiority of race, of the superiority of one race over another race? Right? Why? Why do you believe this? And why do you fall into the trap? Right? Why do you fall into the trap? I don't understand why you fall into the trap. Why do you fall into the trap of the white supremacist race, right? Of one group of people saying that they're better than other people. One group of people that claim to be chosen by God to be better than other people. Therefore, they can live comfortable lives and live their best lives. while everyone else is not allowed to live their best lives? Does that make sense? Think about it, everyone. Like, does that make sense to you? Right? It's crazy. Crazy and bizarre. Let me see what's happening in the war in the Middle East. And he did make it. Hasan Piker did make it to Cuba. So breaking, we had another update for U.S. President Donald Trump on Truth Social. We're getting very close to meeting our objectives that we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran, he says. Turning to the Strait of Hormuz, Trump then says it will have to be guarded and policed as necessary by other nations who use it. The United States does not. If asked, we will help these countries in their whole Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. Importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them. So Trump is thinking of exiting Iran. However, Israel is making it complicated because if the United States exits, Iran stops bombing Iran, then Israel will be more have higher chances of being hit by missiles, right? They have higher chances of being hit by missiles or being on their own, not being able to defend themselves or running low on the stockpile. So Donald Trump is saying that we're almost near the end of the mission in Iran, supposedly. And is it because of the War Powers Act, which says that presidents that spend more than 90 days in war have to get approval from Congress? 60 days, more than 60 days, right? More than 60 days in any conflict will have to get congressional approval. And yesterday, they requested $400 billion for, right? They requested $400 million, right? Right? $400 million. Right? $400 million. So let's watch this video. Okay. So Trump resorted to disrespecting reporters and goes on a tirade, right, against the reporters.
Because you didn't want to be spotted by the enemy. This was something. So we land, and he said, "Sir, would you like to rest for a while before we have a meeting?" I said, "I don't have to rest. My name's not Biden. I don't want to. I'm not resting." And we had great meetings. And then I got back on the plane. I said to him, "So, General, you say 4 weeks? We mean that, right? 4 weeks, sir, and you'll have time left over." He said, "I'll call you on Monday when I get back." And I called him. I said, "You still feel that way, General?" He said, "Yes, sir." And I let him do it. He did it in less than 4 weeks. He defeated ISIS. It was amazing. What a difference. You know, I always say, what a difference the president makes. The border. They said, it can't be done without Congress. It will take years. We did it in about 3 weeks. We have a border that's now 9 months in a row. Nobody's come into our country illegally. I'm not even sure if that could be right. But the Democrats keep the stats. So they say, I mean, they have 0 people came in through our border. You see it, right? And I said, the president makes a big difference. Well, the generals make a big difference too. But I told him, I said, Dan, if you don't mind, stay in the Situation Room and you watch all those attacks that we're hitting those guys with, and they don't know what's happening. Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft.
So that's Donald Trump's whole message, that pretty much the naval craft, everything's gone. I love these tirades, right? I love when he goes on these tirades. But also watch TikTok, YouTube, um, TikTok, YouTube.
We're having a hard time. We want to talk to them, and there's nobody to talk to. We have nobody to talk to. And you know what? We like it that way. And we have many other distinguished members of the United States military, but I want to tell you, Hegseth is doing a great job, and Raising Cane is doing a great job, as good as anybody's ever seen. Don't forget, we had Venezuela. That was the beginning where people started to see the talent. I rebuilt the military and built it, frankly, including Space Force. But I rebuilt the military in my first term. I didn't think I'd be using it this much, but I'm glad I rebuilt it, because we can't let these lunatics have nuclear weapons, because they were going to use them. They'd use them fast. One of the ways you know that is when this whole thing started, they started shooting missiles all over the Middle East at countries that were basically not involved, because they wanted to take over the Middle East. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. The only question would have been the first hour or the first day. That's the only question. They would have used it. And if they can use a nuclear weapon, the world would have been in big trouble. We had to stop. It should have been done long ago. I also want to thank FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, perhaps the most powerful man in this room. You are doing some job. He's trying to keep the fake news. He's trying to make the fake news real and respected again, which is not an easy job, but you're doing a really amazing job. First time that's happened in 25 years. So I congratulate you and everybody in the room. Everybody in this whole country is watching what you're doing, and we appreciate it. When a man can get elected in a landslide, winning think of it, 7 swing states, win them all. We win the popular vote. We win the electoral college by a tremendous amount. We win the counties by 82 or 84%.
How you doing, Abolitious? Crazy, right? Crazy. He just going on a tirade, especially against service members, right? Not against service members, but anyone that criticizes the war. Anyone that criticizes the war, he just... So Netanyahu today declared, "I'm alive," before addressing Trump's rift. Benjamin Netanyahu denied dragging the U.S. into war with Iran and set out Israel's 3 goals for the conflict last night, but not before bashing the fake news of his demise. The Prime Minister opened his 45-minute press conference last night with the world's first of all. "I just want to say I'm alive and you are all witnesses. Now that I dispatched this piece of fake news, I want to give you an update on Operation Roaring Lion." Roaring Freedom, Roaring Lion, right? The pointed remarks come days after the Israeli leader posted a video of himself getting a coffee to try to dispel rumors that he was dead. Those stories stem from a video posted by the Israeli government, which some social media users claim showed Netanyahu with 6 fingers on one hand, a giveaway clue of AI content. So was he touched up or was he AI, right? Was he touched up or was he AI? And there was a lot of things that people were upset about, especially yesterday. A lot happened yesterday in the war. Yesterday, F-35 was hit. F-35 was hit by the Iranian government, and some people were accusing China of providing Iran with certain weapons that could detect such a stealth fighter, right? So let's see what people got to say about this, right? Okay. This was yesterday. Trump responding to a missile being hit, right? This is influencer.
He doesn't care that people are having their lives, American service members, put in danger and lost. Every day, he doesn't care about the tens of billions we've already spent, the $200 billion he wants us to spend for a war on behalf of Netanyahu and distract from the Epstein files. Donald Trump just cares if he thinks it doesn't make him look like a tough guy. The guy who dodged the draft because he doesn't give a shit about this country, not because he was against an endless and useless war. No, Donald Trump signs off on those as president. He wants to pretend like he's the big, strong, tough war fighter. But that is not what is happening right now. Donald Trump is putting us in harm's way. He is putting Americans in harm's way. And he is now breaking down because that is all coming out. And it partially started with Bernie Sanders' call out of Donald Trump tonight. Before we get to the jet.
So do you think that Coachella, do you think he's right that Donald Trump is calling out or making America look bad because our strongest weapons haven't been able to stop Iran from shooting missiles? They thought that in 2 weeks of bombardment that Iran will fall and the Iranian government will fall. But the Iranian government lost its leadership, a lot of its leadership, but it's still running, it's still functioning. The military is still running, the military is still functioning. Did they underestimate the strength of the Iranian military? Did they underestimate how much the Iranians had available, right? How much resources they have available, how much engineering they had available, how much ingenuity they have come up with technologically, even though they've been sanctioned and they've been embargoed and they've been their economy has been crippled. They still have been able to develop advanced weapons and have been able to resist and out strategize the United States. And now Donald Trump is saying that it's almost over, and that other countries are going to have to take care of the Strait of Hormuz and guard it, because the United States is not going to guard the Strait of Hormuz. That is up to other countries to take care of it, right? But let's listen to yesterday's F-35, America's most expensive jet fighter, which costs about $35 billion. Sorry, I misspoke. It costs about $1 billion. No, I misspoke again. It's $1 trillion it costs. $1 trillion, right? $1 trillion. It costs about $1 trillion for the F-35,
That
right?
was struck over Iran and Donald Trump's insane meltdown of a reaction.
And I just wonder your reaction to see the glibness, the weird casualness, the strangeness of the way this president seems to undertake this entire enterprise.
Look, we are living, as I think most people know, with a president who is a pathological liar. He is an authoritarian. What concerns him most is wealth and power. I think he has very little empathy for his fellow human beings. And you're quite right. It is extremely dangerous that a man like that is president of the United States. And Chris, what we have got to do, is figure out why that happened and how we build a political movement of working people that ends Trumpism once and for all, starting in 2026.
As I mentioned, there were 3 resolutions introduced today to try to force votes that would restrain the war, both in terms of the U.S. war on Iran, arms sales to Israel as well. What are those resolutions, and is there any hope of success as were the war to drag on?
Is there hope of success? I would like to think so. I wouldn't bet the farm on it. You got a lot of people here in Congress who are under the thumb of AIPAC and other special interests. The bottom line is that to give another 20,000 bombs to a country.
Yeah, so they're asking for $400 billion to continue the war in Iran. And people like Bernie Sanders have been standing up and been steadfast and have been speaking out against such an
country which committed genocide in Gaza happens to be, among many other things, forget the moral issue, happens to be in violation of American law. You don't sell arms, according to American law, to countries that violate international law and human rights. Clearly, Israel has done that. Israel talked Netanyahu, who for 40 years has wanted a war with Iran, finally got a president to go along with him, started this war. And it's not only the horror that's taking place in Iran right now, something like 15%, 1 million people in Lebanon have been displaced. Israel is moving aggressively in the West Bank, killing people, displacing people, making the idea of a two.
University of Phoenix. They've been wanting to do it for a while, right? They've been wanting to do it for a while. And now for the first time, there's a president that went along with it and actually allowed it to happen. Actually let Israel do what it wants, which was expand its power in the Middle East, debilitate the Middle Eastern countries, and prop up Israel, right? So Israel wants to be the United States of the Middle East, right? They want to be the strongest power in the United States, but the United States yesterday was embarrassed when that plane, the F-35, had to have an emergency landing. And Hasan Piker covered this in his podcast, right? Hasan Piker covered it. And so let's listen to what Hasan has to say. Why I did that. Okay, now I got it. Let's hear what Hasan had to say um, in his podcast, which I watch. He has a lot of good content. And the funny story is that Hasan, I heard a lot of people always mention him. I wasn't really into podcasts or watching streams and all this other stuff. I watch his stream, I watch his commentary, and it was more on point than a lot of other people, right? And so while Trump is talking about scaling down U.S. operations, right now the Strait of Hormuz is under intense fire from the United States. Right? It's under intense fire from the United States as we speak right now. Breaking. The Strait of Hormuz is under severe attack by U.S. and Israeli forces.
So stealthy that even the taxpayers can't see where the $1 trillion went. Done. It's done. It's over. Pack it up. Bring everybody back home. Bring the boys back home right now. Bring the boys back home right now. It's over. It's over. American imperialism is over. It's done. Pack it up. Bring the troops home right now. Iran put out a footage of a F-35 being hit. No shot. Are you kidding me, dude? Oh my God, American empire is so over. It's not even funny. There's no way this is real, right? I don't know.
America stealth bomber.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's real. Oh my God, it's real. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's real. Oh my God. CENTCOM confirmed it. CNN confirmed it. Oh my God. That is crazy, brother. That is our premiere. This is the next gen. This is the next gen. Oh no.
Fighter.
Oh, we are
not
so
detected
washed,
by radar.
dude. Oh my God. Oh, U.S. air supremacy. Oh my God. The F-35 multi-role fighter jet. Something that costs almost $1 trillion. How is that possible?
You hear that? It costs about $1 trillion to manufacture this plane. So when that plane gets shot down, that's almost the whole defense budget in 1 year. It's schools that could be built, daycares that could be built, Head Start programs, healthcare, student loan debt. Everyone's student loan could have been forgiven in the entire country with that $1 trillion. With that $1 trillion, we could have ended childhood poverty. We could have ended, poverty in general across the country. We could have done so much money. I mean, we could have done so much more because every dollar we pumped into our economy, it multiplies, right? It has a multiplier effect. So every dollar we spend within the country, it multiplies itself. But the thing is that when it comes to defense money, this goes to these big companies that profit a huge amount of money, right? Like every missile that gets shot, they make a lot of money because that missile has to be replaced, right? That plane has to be replaced. That means that it's a lot of money that needs to be invested. And Donald Trump asked for $500 million. No, I misspoke again. He asked for $500 billion, not $1 million, $500 billion to keep going with this excursion. What do you want to call it? Excursion, right? This excursion. Let's keep listening to Hasan.
Sorry, we didn't know it was invisible. Oh my lordy. Donald Trump thinks this plane is invisible too. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, that's your healthcare. That's literally your healthcare. That is your healthcare that just perished. Okay, we could have had high-speed rail, a network of high-speed rail in this country.
That's his wish list.
We could have had. Oh my God, we have the jet F-35 multi-role fighter jet instead of healthcare in this goddamn country, instead of schools, instead of high-speed rail. Oh my lordy, that is crazy. That is actually crazy. Oh my Lord, that is wild. Wait, someone make this QRT it with this? No, someone make it with, okay, I'm gonna fight IRGC. Damn, IRGC got hands. Or Iran. By 2017, the program was expected over his lifetime until 2070 to cost $406 billion for acquisition of the jets and $1.1 trillion for the operations and maintenance. Stop playing with me, dude. Inside Wire said it's fake. I mean, if CNN says it's real, CENTCOM says it's real, who the f gives a shit about what Inside Wire is saying, you know? Oh my Lord, dude. Sources tell me the F-35 is stable. Please, God. Bro said, here you go, and then sent this cropped ass image. Bro, this is ass. This is ass. Yeah, let me tune into Benjamin Shapiro. I want to hear what he has to say about whether or not this F-35 was shot. I don't see why any jet is incapable of being shot at. Brother, I need you to understand something, okay? The F-35 multi-role fighter jet is supposed to be the last generation fighter jet that the United States currently has at its disposal. It is one of the most costly endeavors we have engaged in, totaling more than $1 trillion. If they are capable of being taken out by, relative, like conventional loitering munitions or surface-to-air missiles, that directly contradicts the air superiority argument that the American government can utilize. That also is a major blow to the confidence that we could have. This is not like some old tech that we're working with, where our foreign adversaries have had years and years and years of combat experience to basically design a way to successfully counteract. It's unbelievably bad. It is unbelievably bad if the F-35 is actually taken out by Iranian anti-air missiles. Do you understand? It shows two things. Number one, they still have denial capabilities. Okay, Iran still has denial capabilities, and they're very successfully utilizing it. Number two, it also shows us that the American air superiority is busted and dusted. It's unbelievable, given that the U.S. now has effectively run out of.
So the United States is in danger, you think? Hasan, I like your opinion. I like what you have to say. But you were right in this instance that maybe the United States is reconsidering the war in Iran. Donald Trump is indicating that this will be ending soon. The stock market and oil prices most chances are will take a long time for them to go down again. He's been hurt politically, but 100% of MAGA still support him. Republicans are not holding him accountable. So this just shows Donald Trump could do whatever he wants. If he unalives somebody in Fifth Avenue right now, unalive somebody, he would get away with it. No one would challenge him, and that's scary. That's the realization that he is not subject to any rules or any laws. He could do whatever he wants, and no one can challenge him or say anything against him. That's the scary part.
Of standoff munitions, they finally ordered an F-35 sortie into Iranian space. This stealth aircraft was detected, targeted, and struck, and was lucky to make it back to base in one piece. Oh my Lord, dude, this is worse Then bro. This is literally worse than the gas field shit. Okay, for all the missile autists, for all the plane autists, this was something that I could not believe when the New York Times initially reported that a F-35 was dinged by the Ansar Allah. The Ansar Allah loitering like anti-air defenses. I thought there's no shot. How would the Ansar Allah movement have a capability to hit the F-35? It turns out they did. It turns out this is real. Yeah, F-35 F-35 is right. The OSINT tech nerds are saying that Iran is a totally new type of radar that our stealth fighters don't even register. If you look, that F-35 didn't even evade. They had no idea it was coming. I don't understand it. If this is real, it is a devastating blow. Dude, you know what this reminds me of? It's like people just thinking that, you know, we have the best cavalry units, okay? And then they encounter an explosive ordnance for the first time, okay? Like this literally feels like America running around being like, excuse me, we have the greatest cavalry units. We've destroyed their cavalry. They don't even have horseback mounted units any longer. How could they ever do fair? And then they just come out with a cannon and they're like, what the is this? A cannon? Whatever this thing is. Seems kind of stupid to unfold.
So, wow. When an F-35 gets hit, how do we respond to that? How could we spin that? How can we spin that to the world? How can we, say the news is fake news, but how can you deny that it was hit? Because it was hit. Right? It was hit. So how can we deny that it was hit? Yay, Hasan. Big red monster. Yes, Hasan stream. I'm putting him on blast in a good way. Hasan's analysis has been on point. So Hasan's analysis has been on point. Right? So, oh God, a Hasan content stream. Well, his content has been on point. Hit the follow button, by the way. Hit the follow button. Everyone hit the follow button. You're hating Big Red Monster. You're hating on what I'm streaming. Hit the follow button. I'll put you on blast. All right? Hit the follow button. I need more followers like Hasan. So you're a Trump. You love Trump, huh? You love Trump. So you rather deal with Hasan or you rather deal with Trump? Who you rather deal with?
This on the battlefield and then boom, out of nowhere, you're like, what the? Do you understand? Like this, if this is a mass producible, repeatable incident, this literally renders the F-35 like tanks, basically. If Ukraine and Russia showed that tanks were unreliable in drone combat, this is yet another instance where it's done. Like there's no, like, why the fuck would you use this? Why do I not find this shocking at all? I mean, am I crazy? Did I just like lean into the crazy coverage on the F-35s that I just assumed that it wouldn't be like this $1 trillion operation would not be taken out by.
It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing to the United States. We've been like embarrassed, right? We're like, the most powerful military in the world, and we've been throwing all this artillery, but Iran is still shooting missiles at all different places, and we're just sitting back and just trying to figure it out. Is it because so instead, like I told people, are you interested in sending your own kids to war? Right? Come on. Under this leadership that doesn't know what they're doing, right? That doesn't know what they're doing. You have to have guts, right? You got to have guts to do this. And this is Barron Trump turning 20, deciding he's going to be an entrepreneur. He's going to be an entrepreneur. He's going to follow in his father's footsteps, and he's going to become an entrepreneur. And I'm sure he'll say, "Oh, I'm going to take over my dad's empire." And so they're saying that also that Trump's Truth Social hasn't been doing that well, and Trump's popularity has been sinking lower, even though MAGA still supports him big time. His popularity has been sinking big time, and so what does he need? He needs to figure out what he's going to do. Is Trump going to retire? Is he going to retire? Because Barron's already talked about, taking over for Donald Trump, right? Taking over for Donald Trump, right? And so there's a new report. Poll: Trump's approval rating sinks to lowest ever amid Iran war. President Donald Trump approval rating has sunk to the lowest ever, with voters expressing displeasure with the war with Iran and the cost of living. A new Daily Mail JL Partners poll found that Trump's approval rating has slipped to 42%. That's down from the 42% approval he received on March 3, just days into the Iran conflict. Trump held a 48% approval rating as recently as late January. Trump's performance in the Middle East is partially driving the disappointment, right? So his poll numbers went down. So is Trump going to retire? That's the question. Is Trump going to retire? Is Trump going to retire? That's my question. That very valuable question, because they talk about Barron Trump's future. He's military age. He's military age. Right? This is military age. Right? He's military age. He's prime to, right? He's prime to be involved, right? And NATO just pulled off a move. They withdrew their So NATO just withdrew its forces from Iraq. So NATO is pulling its troops from Iraq. Let's see what this is about. So NATO now is saying they're going to withdraw from Iran.
In an NBC Meet the Press interview airing last weekend, Trump floated his openness to cutting military aid to Ukraine and wait for it, pulling the U.S. out of NATO. Even though this isn't the first time we've heard this threat from Trump, these bombshells have left NATO allies in a pretty good portion of America's national security establishment clutching their pearls. But NATO is powerful on its own, right? Even without the U.S. Sort of. Hey team, Wes here, veteran global security wonk. And I learned Russian while in the Air Force because разумно изучать противника. In 2022, Ukraine faced down the Russian bear, armed with little more than Soviet hand-me-downs and a lot of grit. Their arsenal included about 850 to 1,000 Soviet-era tanks, models like the T-64, the T-72, and the T-80, a few hundred artillery pieces, and fewer than 100 operational combat jets. Not exactly a tech enthusiast's dream, but thanks to some Western military hardware upgrades, Ukraine managed to stall and, in many cases, push back Russian forces. David didn't just meet Goliath, he stole his lunch money. Meanwhile...
Okay. War hawks, right? Some people love war. Let me go back to Hasan. Even though some people are hating, right? Some people are hating. I guess he's getting too much attention. They don't like him getting so much
Iranian
attention.
missiles this easily? Is this China tech or Iran tech? I don't. Oh my God, dude, I cannot. It's unbelievable. It is Chinese tech. No, I do believe in Chinese tech. I don't know if this is a Chinese missile or a Chinese surveillance system. I don't know if it's any of that. Okay, we don't know. I don't know. I'm not a missilotist. I don't know what the Iranian capabilities are. I have a lot of. I've been steadily impressed every single day with like not only the Iranian resilience so far, but also their engineering and their ingenuity in general. They have, it's a nation of nerds. Okay, this is what happens when you got a nation of chud ass nerds. Their highest ranking officials are chud ass nerds when it comes to merging Western philosophy and Eastern Islamic principles. They got like 18 PhDs. All that's what their leadership looks like. And
well, a lot of people don't like the glorifying the Iran leadership, but they've been very resistant and very resilient in fighting the United States. Believe it or not, they've been able to actually fight the United States and actually fight a credible war against the United States, right? They actually been able to fight a good war against the United States. And the United States has not been able to keep up or keep pace with Iran, right? We haven't been able to keep pace with Iran. Give me 1 second. Gotta get my computer charger. Whoa. Right? It's just like something insane, but true, right? Insane, but true. We've been debilitated, right? We have been debilitated a little bit, slightly, right? Let's go, people. Let's go. Hasan, his analysis has been on point with the Iran war. I've been watching him. I mean, I just started watching Hasan like 2 weeks ago, and I watch his show every day now, consistently, and so I like his analysis. His analysis is on point. So you can hate all you want, but he has been on point. And he's in Cuba right now, I already said, right? He's in Cuba and, speaking for the leftists and people that believe in democratic socialism and a way of challenging the systems that have oppressed many people for many years, right? There's a lot of systems that have kept a lot of people in check, unfortunately, that have kept the poor poor and kept the rich rich, and everyone has stayed in their place just because they can do that, right? Just because they could do that. They can have the poor suffer. And a war like this, the poor are the ones that suffer. You saw Trump is giving the speech. You see the majority of people are in the military. There's a lot of minorities. There's a lot of poor people. There's a lot of people from marginalized communities, right? Because this is sometimes the only way people could get out and have some mobilization. They offered a house. They offered a way out of poverty, and they're giving them an outlay of poverty to get out of poverty, right? And so a lot of people take it, right? Everyone hit the follow button, hit the like button, hit the like button. And a lot of people say, oh no, but you support the Democrats. No, I'm an independent. I don't support the Democrats. I don't support the Republicans. I support the people. I support what is better for the people. So if you feel like war is the best thing, then I don't understand you. Why do you believe that war is the most precious thing, the most beautiful thing, right? It's not. It's not. Because I keep saying over and over, it's easy for you to be happy about missiles being dropped, but you haven't seen the consequences on the ground. There has been pretty much a media blackout on the ground. It's not like Vietnam that there were cameramen there. They don't want us to see the carnage and the destruction that dropping missiles on countries, what it does, right? They don't want us to see that, because when we see it, then more chances are we're not going to be okay with it. Once we see the carnage and the destruction, our whole tune is going to change, right? Our whole tune is going to change. We're not going to want to be accomplices of this, right? We no longer want to be part of this. Once we see the system or people actually facing consequences, right? Let me put D1 on. How you doing, D1?
What's going on, old man? Haven't seen you in a while.
Long time, right?
Yeah, I thought you was in the witness protection program. You had shaved your hair, cut your mustache off.
Exactly, all that good stuff. Exactly, all that good stuff. Yeah, but I'm still streaming.
What's been going on?
I'm still streaming. Don't worry, I'm still streaming. I started streaming again on TikTok. People didn't see that. Before I was like ranked high in TikTok, and I was moving up, and then at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I give up on this. I was putting in too many hours into TikTok.
Yeah, but you had some great lives. I
Yeah.
met a few people talking with you. I was just wondering, did you hear what Fetterman did?
Oh, Featherman? Featherman's a mess, man. Featherman is, you know how much money he takes from AIPAC? Do you realize that Featherman takes a lot of money from AIPAC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's right now he's defending Iran at all costs because he takes so much money from them. And I'm sure they have dirt on him or they have something on him. So he's like their puppet. He has to do whatever the Israeli lobby tells him to do. You understand?
I thought we was doing all right when we got rid of Manchin, but now we just got another Manchin.
Yeah, we got another mansion, and it replaces the other. So Featherman is saying he doesn't understand why the Democrats are against the Iranian war. He doesn't understand, and he doesn't agree with Democrats just being against it. And then he said that Donald Trump, all Democrats have TDS. They have Trump's derangement syndrome. And I'm like, what the hell? Is this guy all of a sudden MAGA? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he got a big piece of money.
Oh, yeah.
He's always been an undercover, or they blackmailing him.
He's been undercover. Also, they're blackmailing him. Or they have dirt on him, things that he has done. Because he was kind of a border, like, you know what I mean? He did a lot of craziness. So I'm sure he has, some shady stuff in his file. Right? They have some shady stuff in his file that they have on him, and they're like, we're gonna release it, we're gonna destroy your career, or you can take our money and you can agree with everything we tell you to do, and you just be our puppet within the Democratic Party to put pressure on everyone else to do what we want them to do, right? Because is he gonna quit? Is he gonna quit the Democratic Party? Is he gonna turn into? He's gonna become a Republican or what?
He might as well.
Because he's saying there's no leadership in the Democratic Party. I agree with him. There is no leadership in the Democratic Party. I do agree with Featherman that there is no leadership in the Democratic Party. Right? The leadership has been very weak. Hasn't wanted to resist what's happening, right? They haven't resisted Donald Trump strongly, right? And why? The Democrats take a lot of money from AIPAC also, including Hakeem Jeffries. AIPAC,
I heard about that.
American Israeli PAC, which is biggest lobbying firm in the United States, which supports
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about Tallarico also. The guy from Texas, Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, Tallarico.
It's just something about him.
He's too picture perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. He's too picture perfect because John Featherman, right? John Featherman, when he came on the scene, it was like, who's this guy? He's so pro people. He comes with these little sweaters and says, I'm going to wear shorts to Congress, and it's not fair that because I don't dress formally. And then he comes off to me as a white supremacist for some reason, like a white nationalist, undercover, acting like a progressive. Then he had the stroke and all that. And then he said he was never a progressive, right? He changed his whole mind and he claimed he was never a progressive. Yeah.
Change everything up.
It changed everything up. But I think he was just acting.
Isn't he also Jewish?
That's a good question.
Is he Jewish?
I mean, it doesn't matter what he is, but the thing is the way the lobbying and the money that he takes, because there's plenty of politicians that don't take money from AIPAC, right? They refuse to take money from AIPAC. Talarico doesn't take money from AIPAC. Believe it or not, he doesn't take money from AIPAC. So
I didn't know that, but I just
he didn't take
something
it.
about him.
He didn't take any money from AIPAC. Jasmine Crockett does take money from certain aligned organizations. She does. So that might have been her downfall, right? Because the Democratic Party, when they did the autopsy of which was leaked out, the main reason why they say a lot of people decided not to vote for the Democrats was their stance on Gaza and the whole genocide. And so I feel like Iran is like a big Gaza, right? And a big extension of Gaza, of Israel expanding its power in the Middle East and wanting to be the United States of the Middle East, right? They want to be the controlling power, the power influence in the United States, in all the way to Russia, right? They want to be able to influence that whole part of the world and have them under their control, right?
Yeah, when they took over, when they was given the land in Palestine, it was only 17% of the land. You know how much land they have now in Palestine?
Yeah. How much?
I believe it's 95%. They're just like the United States.
Yeah.
Exactly like it.
Same strategy, same weapons. And I was talking about that earlier, that Hegseth has all these tattoos which are connected to white nationalists, right? And he claims he's not a white nationalist. He claims he's not a white supremacist. He claims that those tattoos that he has are religious tattoos. And he's been saying that this war of Iran is like a religious war. It's like more like a holy war. It's biblical because God is on our side and all this other stuff. So this is crazy, right? That they're portraying it this way as a holy war, which is like what Iran says, right? Because Iran is a secular state, right? It's like a state like Israel. Israel is a state, is a secular state also, which is a state that is allows religion in its operations, right? And so the United States, however, we all have always respected the separation of church and state. We don't allow the whole, but now Hegseth is blurring the line, citing the Bible, talking about which we're the chosen people by God, using the same language that Israel has been using. We have never seen something like that. We have never seen something like that, especially, is that a way to justify be warmongers? Because Republicans claim, right? Don't Republicans always claim that they're not for war, that they're against war?
It was against a lot of things until Trump got in. It was against high gas prices. They was for jobs. They was for the budget.
Yeah.
They just freaking hypocrites. But
Yeah.
Trump says it is okay. Hey, I don't mind putting an extra $10 in my tank. But when Joe was in there, we gotta get rid of him. Oh my God.
I would just talk about the strategic oil reserves that today Trump announced that he's releasing about I don't know the exact number, so I don't want to misquote it, but it's a large amount. I think a large amount of oils or barrels per day of oil from the Strategic National Reserve. And I was just playing some videos of when Biden did that, how um uh the GOP, the Republicans, were having a total meltdown because they're like, why is he touching that? He shouldn't do that. It's political. He's trying to save, his people. And so now no one is saying that Trump is doing the same thing, that he's doing it for political purposes, right? It's like
He's
a
not
double
doing
standard.
the same.
Yeah.
Hold on, old man. He's not doing the same thing. He's giving the oil away, and they're going to pay it back in the future. Joe sold the oil
Exactly.
and refilled it when prices went down. He made America money. Trump
Yeah.
is giving it to the oil companies
Yeah,
for
exactly.
a promise for them to refill it. So they're making money off of us twice.
Twice.
Just like the tariffs.
Yeah. Just like the tariffs. And then he's like wondering why countries are not willing to come out and rescue the United States. And now he's saying, oh, we might withdraw from Iran. And but then you have 50,000 soldiers in the Middle East right now. 50,000 soldiers, active duty soldiers in the Middle East. But they're doing it quietly, right? Because they're not telling Congress, and Congress is like, "Oh, we're not gonna hold hearings," right?
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
Yeah, it's
We're not gonna hold hearings.
I've been watching the hearings with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. We screwed.
These guys are not.
That's why he's trying to fix the midterms, man.
Oh,
he's trying to take over the elections.
Yeah, with the SAVE Act, right?
Because not just the SAVE Act. He's won martial law where he wants to stop the elections so he can keep his people in place.
Declare there's a national emergency. Declare there's a national emergency, therefore the election can't take place, which is like, this is what people voted for. We were talking about this for the last 2 years, right?
I'm talking about if we do what we want, they will never win another election within 50 years. He's already putting his plan. I mean, he's dumb.
He's dumb, but the thing is,
the Supreme Court will stand up to him.
What about the people that support him? You saw his approval rating among Republicans?
Oh, is it like 86%?
Yeah, 86%. And among MAGA supporters, it's 100%. So in other words, they haven't budged.
But
their support for him has not budged. So that's the reason why I stopped doing lives and I stopped streaming, because I'm like, I'm here trying to put a good faith effort to argue with people that don't budge and are not going to move. They're not going to move from their position. Whatever you tell them, you could present them with facts. You could present them with millions of facts, thousands of facts. They will not budge from their stance. They still support him and say he has a master plan. We're still waiting for the master plan on healthcare. We're still waiting for the master plan on grocery prices and inflation. We're still waiting for the master plan. And instead, what he's doing, bankrupting the country, adding trillions of dollars to the national debt, giving away trillions of dollars to not only oil companies, but defense contractors, and also to the rich, right? Because the first thing he did was the same thing he did his first administration, which was he gave away money to the rich. That was the first thing he did, right? Give big tax cuts to the rich. Oh no, don't worry. The regular people, don't worry. Yours is coming. Your cut is coming. Once the rich get the money, they're gonna spend it on you. So then, what did the rich people do?
Bought up all their stock.
Yeah, rebought their stocks and
Invested in their
pumped the
own
money
stock.
back into the companies. Therefore, their stocks will be worth more, and they will have more money, right? So they reinvested their money in their own money, right? And so we wonder why we have extreme poverty in this country, and we have extreme rich people, right? We have some people that are extremely rich, and we have people that are extremely poor. That's just a reality, right? And you saw, I was talking about the B-35 bomber, right? America's most expensive airplane, right? It's supposed to be a stealth bomber that can't be detected by radar, but yesterday it was shot down by Iran.
Oh, you talking about the F-35?
Sorry, F-35. I said B-35. The F-35. Sorry.
Yeah. You can't hide your heat signature.
Yeah.
Maybe regular radar can't see it, but missiles can home in on their heat signature.
Exactly. So, that's, you know how much that plane costs? Almost $1 trillion.
I think it's like, I thought it was like 88 million per unit. I have to look that up.
No,
I know it ain't cheap.
It's not cheap. It's close to $1 trillion because to manufacture it, they use extremely rare earths and rare materials. So just to manufacture that plane is extremely expensive, and to also maintain it is extremely expensive. So any damage that is sustained could cost billions of dollars, and we just lost billions of dollars in one day. On top of all the people that we lost, and the oil fields being bombed, the refineries being bombed, and they're saying, "Oh, once we stop this campaign, don't worry, the oil prices will shoot back down." But I see $6 a gallon in gas. The in New York is Con Edison and Keyspan and National Grid. The deliverers of the utilities, and they already warned people that the delivery charges will be going up. So that means that next month, people's electric and gas bills will be shooting up like crazy.
My gas bill has tripled.
Yeah, mine too.
More
than triple. It went four or 5 times more than what I would pay. Mine went up like 5 times more.
But my electric has been going up since he got in office.
Yeah. And they say, "Oh no, it's because it's like also the companies feel like they could do whatever they want with people now that he's in office. Like they feel like he could just, yeah, who's gonna fight him? Like they know that they could get away with it, that there's not gonna be no investigation, that the Trump administration has been gutting regulations across the board for companies.
Firing
federal workers.
Inspector generals for these companies.
Yeah.
He's firing everyone who overlooks all this criminality.
Yeah. The media companies.
The inspector generals, he's firing them.
Yeah.
Anyone who can stand up to him, he fires.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Department of Justice.
They're going to prosecute him. Bondi.
Yeah, exactly. Congress. Who in Congress is going to stand up to him? Huh?
I believe that they have a lot of damaging information on these people.
Of course.
But we already know that a few of them, like the boys, we know that, and most of them are predators. We know that already.
Yeah, the Epstein class. The Epstein class is undefeated, right? The Epstein class is undefeated. There's no way to They don't want to bring him to justice. There's still 1 million files that haven't been released in the Epstein files.
It's 3 million.
Huh? The number
3 million files.
The
that
numbers
have
keep
not been
changing.
released.
The numbers keep changing. You know, every day is a different story. Right? Every day is a different story. And that's the problem. That every
I
day
see some
has
very bad. If he tries to shut down the midterm election, I see some very bad things happening.
You think
That's
so?
going to be one too many. People are going to rise up against him.
I think they're not.
But let me get out of here.
I don't think anyone's going to rise up against Trump. I know you're a veteran, and I respect your service. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your hard work for representing the country. But as a veteran, how do you feel about everything that Trump is doing now?
Well, the average military personnel is not going to stand with Trump. They're not going to turn their weapons on us unless they're like called ICE. But we know who ICE is. That's the Proud Boys and the 1%ers. Who's that one? The Proud Boys. Those guys, have you noticed they disappeared?
No, they haven't
Proud
disappeared.
Boys.
They just got 6-figure government jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And some of them said when they interviewed them, they said, I would do this for free. The ICE agents, they said, I would do this for free. I love this job. I would do this for free because what I'm doing, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to run out here.
All right.
It was good talking to you,
All right.
brother.
Take care of yourself. Thank you for joining me live. Okay. All right. Take care of yourself. Okay. Okay. Bye. Have a good day. Wow. He's a veteran of the Navy, right? Served the country, and he's not happy with the way things are going. He's not happy. He warned me that Trump was dangerous, and he wasn't wrong, right?
Their entire government structure is designed
Let's hear
by engineers. It's the most
Do you agree with Hasan that Iran embarrassed the United States?
Country of all time, so maybe they have their own version. I don't know if it's the Chinese one, but it's yeah, this is crazy. I gotta text Felix. Holy dude, that is crazy, brother. What the hell? I gotta call Marat. Let's not get away with it too much. Russia and China are helping Iran, buddy. Okay, dude. Listen, that could be the case here, but like the idea, dude, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Are you kidding me?
Don't get too excited about the money, brother. Right? Don't get too excited about the money. Right? All right. Let's see what else is happening in out there, right? Let's see what else is happening out there, right? Let's see what else is happening out there, right? Yeah, back to Hasan going to Cuba. I'm happy that people are sending humanitarian aid to countries that are struggling, right? Right?
I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth. They're a very weakened nation.
Oh.
They were for a long time. A very violent very violent leaders.
What?
Castro was a very violent leader. His brother's a very violent leader.
The audacity of America in the process of starving the Cuban population right now, 11 million people living on this island. Their energy grid just collapsed today. The audacity for the guy responsible for that bloodshed to turn around and be like, it's the Cuban leadership that's violent, actually. Insane.
Cuba's electrical grid has suffered a complete and total collapse. This is according to the country's power operator. It's the first nationwide blackout since the U.S. effectively
Yeah, so all of this stuff that happens is manufactured by the United States, putting a blockade, trying to weaken the government of Cuba. And so Cuba has responded by saying, the Cuban president responded by saying that any attempts on its sovereignty will be met by severe a response, right? Pretty much. Let's see. Any threat to its sovereignty will be met. Let's see. Let's see.
through October, although two of its tour package divisions hope to start up again in June. Air Transat says it won't resume flights to Cuba until June, and refunds are available for affected passengers of both airlines. Cuba partially restored its power grid following a nationwide blackout that reportedly lasted for more than 29 hours. It's the third major blackout in 4 months. The U.S. imposed an oil blockade on the island in January, shortly after the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Meanwhile, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel is lashing out at President Trump for suggesting he can do whatever he wants with the island. Trump said yesterday that he would, quote, be doing something with Cuba very soon. And in response, Diaz-Canel said on social media, criticizing Trump's public threats, he also warns that the U.S. intends to, quote, announce plans to take over the country, its resources, its properties, and even the economy itself, which they seek to suffocate in order to force Cuba to surrender. And with me now to talk more about this is Yvon Grenier. He's professor and senior researcher on Latin American politics at St. Francis Xavier University. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So even though the power has returned to the people for their homes and businesses, Cuba's crisis is far from over. How much of the blackout and broader economic stress is due to U.S. sanctions versus the domestic infrastructure problems that they have in Cuba?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two, because even before Trump came into the scene, the economy was doing very badly.
So according to this, Cuba's doing real badly. The sanctions, the U.S. sanctions have wreaked havoc on Cuba. But thank God that Cuba has at least, I don't believe in starving people, because when they do blockades and they do sanctions, it doesn't affect the rich. It affects the average person from having access to food and water and the ability to survive, right? It doesn't really hurt the leadership as much. It's trying to destabilize the country, but it's really hurting the poorer people, right? The people that don't have as much resources. The rich could survive anywhere, right? They could go anywhere. They could get goods from anywhere, right?
Structures are in terrible shape. 1.5 and 2 million people in the past 4 or 5 years. And that is like mostly young people, skilled people leaving the island, facilitated by a visa-free sort of exit route through Nicaragua, which has been closed, which was closed recently. And so I think it's probably fair to say that the economy was in terrible shape for many domestic reasons, and also the U.S. embargo. But now it's not anymore a porous embargo. It's really a true blockade against the economy, against the regime in Cuba. And more than 50% of the electricity is produced by burning oil. And so this is an oil embargo. And so we'll see where it leads. But certainly it's unprecedented stress on the regime and on the economy of Cuba, with great humanitarian, of course, consequences.
So what's your read on Trump's latest comments about potentially taking Cuba?
But the thing is that they cut off Venezuelan oil. Venezuelan oil was being supplied to Cuba. Russia was supplying oil. Iran, I believe. Different countries were supplying oil, but there's a blockade. And Trump said he didn't want anyone supplying oil to Cuba because that's the way he was going to starve the nation, right? He was going to starve the nation of Cuba and cause unrest. The same strategy he's using in Iran, the same strategy he's going to use in Venezuela, that supposedly you get rid of the leadership. There's a uprising of the people. There's protests, and then they take over their government. But it hasn't been working too well for the United States, right? The uprisings and pushing for uprisings has not worked very well. There hasn't been regime change, right? There hasn't been regime change as much as they want it to be, right? They want countries that are beholden to the United States, that's willing to do whatever the United States wants, that's willing to get rid of the whole concept of sovereignty, but answer to the United States. China has been heavily involved in Latin America, has been giving a lot of loans to different countries, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Cuba, and many other countries. The list goes on, where they have done infrastructure projects built by Chinese engineers, by Chinese companies, our loaner, and our loaner to the smaller countries, and building up the infrastructure with the help of China.
Saying that
this is the soft power, but Donald Trump is talking about using military action, hard power, to enforce the rule of the United States in Latin America, in the Middle East, in every other part of the world, including Europe.
Do something very soon regarding Cuba.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is very crude imperialism. It's almost satirical, the way he talks about Cuba, the way he talks about other countries as well, Iran, Venezuela, et cetera, But I think one has the sense that for Trump, Cuba is a pretty low-hanging fruit. Like, there's no oil. There's nothing really.
But he still would take it to show that he took it, right? Just like he wanted Greenland, just like he said he was going to make Canada the 51st state, right? He wants to be able to acquire more land, and maybe he'll name it after himself, right?
there that he can actually sort of confiscate. Of course, he's a sort of a real estate mogul. He loves resorts. Maybe he's dreaming about having some kind of Trump hotel resort in Cuba. As Trump, many world leaders, he played chess. He plays Monopoly. So maybe that's what he's interested in. I don't think he smokes cigars. So for him, one has a sense almost that he wants to please his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, for whom it's very, very important, the human rights situation. And it's a real tragedy, I must say. It's not just a Trump story. It's Cuba as a police state with...
So, I mean, what do you think?
More than 1,200 political prisoners, including teenagers, and the economy is collapsing. The regime is still very solidly in place as far as social control and repression of protests, for instance, is concerned. So there aren't really good guys in that story. I think the victims are clearly the Cuban people, who are probably hoping that one way or the other, this situation will sort of end and something else will start.
All right. Really appreciate your perspective. Thanks for joining us tonight, Yvonne.
My pleasure.
Yvonne Grenier, professor and senior researcher on Latin American politics at Xavier University.
Meet Niles Kinnerk.
Crazy, right? That the United States is really aggressive and wants to reestablish itself in the Caribbean, but not by giving aid. You saw that Donald Trump got rid of U.S. aid, right? U.S. AID. He got rid of aid to all countries because he felt like that was the best way to, instead of providing food and resources and strategic help to countries, the best thing that he could do for the United States was to actually destabilize them, the countries, destabilize of the United States, right? Donald Trump was upset because Petro from Colombia didn't want to cooperate with his incursion into Venezuela, right? He wanted Colombia to allow the United States to do whatever they want. A matter of fact, though, a lot of the Latin American countries refuse to allow the United States to use their airspace or use their bases to conduct attacks. But however, the Dominican Republic did accept the Air Force Base San Isidro in the Dominican Republic to be hosted, right? Be the hosting body, and for possible attacks with Cuba, right? Which is very close by. And so the best path is always the path of peace, right? Always peace. Diplomacy. Will we withdraw from any fight? Will we withdraw for any fight? I don't think we will withdraw for most fights. The Trump's popularity sinking, and I'm not sure if that's going to change his opinion as to what he should do, right? I'm not sure if that's going to change his opinion. And in breaking news, judge rules Pentagon restrictions on press are unconstitutional. Judge rules Pentagon restrictions on press are unconstitutional. It was a victory for the Times, which filled out a suit challenging the rules. The judge also ordered that the Pentagon restore the practice of 7 times journalists. So Donald Trump took away the journalists' press passes. So today, crude oil, Brent crude oil, um, uh, closed at almost 100. And ended up at $115. And breaking news, everyone! Breaking news: Donald Trump says the U.S. is considering winding down the war. Um, The president made the comment on social media a short time after telling reporters on the White House lawn that he wasn't interested in a ceasefire because the U.S. was obliterating the other side. The um, the Treasury Department lifted sanctions on some Iranian oil. Um, President Trump said in a social media post on Friday that the United States was considering winding down the war with Iran as it was getting very close to meeting its objectives. His remarks came even as U.S. officials said they were ramping up aerial assaults against Iranian drones and naval vessels in an effort to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, Mr. Trump told reporters that on the White House lawn, I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. The president has said multiple times that the war was nearly over, only for U.S. attacks to intensify. And that's what he did today. The attacks intensified on the Strait of Hormuz. So he said that um, he was gonna actually draw down, and now he scaled up. He scaled up big time attacks on the Strait of Hormuz. He just did that a few minutes ago, where he just scaled up attacks, right? He scaled up attacks on the Strait of Hormuz. Can you believe it? He's contradicting himself one more time. He keeps contradicting himself. He says he's gonna scale it down, and then he scales it up. So, everyone, hit the like, hit the share button, hit the follow button, as I bring you the news, breaking news, right? Get my energy level up, right? The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, about an hour ago, through state media, said late Friday that it had launched strikes on more than 55 American and Israeli-linked sites in the region. It said it had targeted American bases in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Iraq, and the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, as well as Israeli sites in Haifa and Tel Aviv. Interesting, right? When will Congress step in? That's my question to Congress. When will you step in? When will they step in? And yesterday was kind of embarrassing, right? Trump was hosting the the Prime Minister of Japan, and he basically embarrassed the United States by making some nauseating comments about this was nauseating, right? This was nauseating for him to do this with the Prime Minister of Japan, knowing the history of World War II.
Good friend. But one question: why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay, right? You know, he's asking me. No, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what we, and much more than we anticipated. So
Wow.
if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise, right?
My question is, why are you referencing Japan? Right? Why are you referencing Japan like this? Talk about Pearl Harbor. I didn't mean to ignore your comments. Who will do diplomacy with Trump? Not to laugh. At this point, no one, because he can't be trusted, right? He's ready to turn on people, and he says he wants to do diplomacy, and behind the scenes, he's trying to knock you out, right? The man is a liar. I agree. Hasan is on point if you believe in fairies and the Democratic Party. I don't believe in the Democratic Party. Well, has Iran said it's winding down the war? Iran, that's the problem. If the United States pulls out of the war, who's going to 20% of American oil goes to the Strait of Hormuz. That means that what American oil tankers, people that are doing business with America, would they be safe or would they be on their own? Israel will be in danger, right? Because they're not reporting on it. But Israel's Iron Dome has been showing cracks, right? They will not talk to America. I agree. They're not. That's it. Diplomacy's over. It's a big fight. You have a big fight on your hands. It's a big fight. They have knocked out 23 American bases. Well, have they? According to the news agencies in the United States, they haven't done anything. Right? What did Trump say? We're winning, we're winning, we're winning, we're winning. But our F-35 was shot down. Cost almost $1 billion. Israel hasn't been stopped. They haven't stopped bombing Israel repeatedly. So my question is, if Israel and the United States have been winning, how come they're still being bombarded? Right? Why are we still being bombarded by missiles if we already destroyed their missile capabilities, right? How is that possible? Right? And so Tucker Carlson interviews Professor Young. He went viral.
Neither side will concede defeat, even though it is in their best interest to reach a ceasefire.
Professor Young.
Huge fan. I've been admiring your work for a number of years now.
Thank you.
So I think that this war in Iran will be very similar to the war in Ukraine, meaning that this will be drawn out, be a war of attrition. Neither side will concede defeat, even though it is in their best interest to reach a ceasefire. And this will have dramatic consequences on the global economy. And this war could drag on for years and years. Already, we're seeing major repercussions on the global economy in that flights are being canceled. In Southeast Asia, they ran out of fuel, so they're asking people to stay at home. And in a few more months, experts are predicting a food shortage, meaning that nations will be forced into food rationing. And today, there's a major escalation in that the Israelis struck the largest gas field in Iran, and Iran retaliated by attacking energy infrastructure of the GCC. And Iran has stated that its purpose, its goal, its strategy is to move oil to $200.
So Professor Young, let's see, Young has been predicting a lot of the stuff that's happening, and he's an expert on world politics. He's being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and so he's saying that there might be food rationing, which will cause instability in a lot of countries, not just in Iran, but in a lot of countries worldwide that depend on the Middle East, right? A lot of flights have been canceled, and it's starting to affect Southeast Asia dramatically, right? Because the Strait of Hormuz, not only does it provide oil and gas, it also delivers food and also fertilizer for the land and for farming in Southeast Asia. And so it's also causing severe problems, right? Yes, 2 F-35s shot down and 3 F-15s and 2 refuelers. Very expensive planes, right? Very expensive planes. Very expensive planes. And it's embarrassing to America to not be able to protect its assets, right? So two F-35s were shot down and 3 F-15s and 2 refuelers. And USS Lincoln, even though Donald Trump said it was not damaged, it seems to be videos of it being damaged. A U.S. battleship, right? And then they said it was a fire. It went in the ship. It wasn't hit by missiles. But I don't know. The videos are showing something else.
A barrel, which will have a really significant impact on the global economy, because the entire global economy is based on access to cheap energy. So unfortunately, I think that we can expect this war to drag on for years and years. Eventually, America will send in ground troops. Eventually, the Strait of Hormuz will be contested. Eventually, this will spread all across the world. Eventually, other nations will be drawn in. So Saudi Arabia is thinking about declaring war on Iran. And Saudi Arabia has a mutual defense pact with Pakistan. So Pakistan will be drawn into this war. So things are spiraling out of control. And just recently, Ali Larijani, who is the de facto head of the Iranian war effort, was assassinated. And he was a pragmatic elder statesman in Iran who had the authority to negotiate a ceasefire. Now that he's gone, there really is no more off-ramp. So both sides are committed to a long war of attrition, and the consequences for the entire global economy are quite dire.
That is, I wouldn't say that's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario would include a nuclear strike by one or more actors and the destruction of the Aqsa Mosque complex in Jerusalem, which would spark a religious war. So that's as bad as it could get, but you've just described one step before the worst, which is protracted, destructive, impossible to stop.
And is Trump signaling? Because Trump is saying we're going to end the war soon, pretty soon. Soon we're going to end the war. But now we see in the Strait of Hormuz that he just saying that. And now in the Strait of Hormuz, they're hitting it real hard today. They're dropping bunker busters. They're dropping some of America's biggest bombs on the island of the Strait of the Hormuz, right? Right? So is this the beginning of World War III? Is it possible? Is this the beginning of World War III? What do you think, people? Is this the beginning of World War III?
So my question is, because there are so many global players, big global players, the US and China, I think, who would be hurt by this, why is there not an incentive to get it settled quickly, and why can't that happen?
Right. So once this war starts, it it achieves a momentum and a logic of its own. So the United States doesn't really have an off-ramp, meaning that if it tries to negotiate a ceasefire with Iran would ask for reparations, about $1 trillion, basically. It would ask for the United States to leave the Middle East permanently to ensure its long-term survival.
And those terms and conditions would not be good terms and conditions for Israel. Israel would not agree to those terms and conditions because it's not to its benefit of the United States leaving, and it's also not to the benefit of Donald Trump to appear weak, to sign a deal with Iran, to make it now is making him look weak, right? As the war, his whole thing is that he wants to show that America won, and that they brought Iran to its knees, right? That's the goal, to make sure that Iran is brought to its knees, and this is that's what I'm saying. I don't see much off ramp or right. I don't see much of an off ramp, right? And then we got the Trump people going around mocking reporters, losing their control, right? Pretty much not wanting any pushback. They're claiming that anyone that criticizes them is fake news. This is what they're saying, right?
But we don't know it's not.
Because that's the story of pretty much every war ever.
How long
Since
the
World War
Venezuela war last?
Well, that wasn't a war. That was but
we haven't had a war since World War II, Josh.
Yeah, well, I think the Vietnam generation would take issue with that, and the Iraq generation and the Afghanistan generation.
But I'm saying we haven't declared war.
Yeah, but if you ignore the lessons of all
you're
of
saying a 3-week situation is the most unpopular thing we've ever done.
I'm saying that
you're using the term war a little.
I'm saying that Americans understand what's clear, which is that this is getting worse every day and expanding every day. And
that is getting worse.
The war is expanding. More countries are getting attacked.
What we're forgetting.
The energy crisis is growing. The economic crisis is growing. Inflation is growing. Extremism and attacks on the homeland are growing. Everything is getting worse every day, and the war is expanding, despite President Trump saying
you're not exactly a glass half full kind of guy, are you?
I'm a real.
No, I was going to say. I was going to comment on that. I was just saying that there are a lot of things getting worse.
It's time to keep the party.
Exactly. There's a lot of stuff getting worse, right? There's a lot of stuff getting worse. That's just a reality. Things are getting worse. And even though Trump doesn't want to acknowledge that it's getting worse, he wants to be an apologist. And he wants to claim that it's not getting worse, right? Back to Dr. Young.
Collectively become client states of Iran, because only Iran can guarantee their safety, as well as use of the Strait of Hormuz. The GCC is the basis of the petrodollar. So what the GCC does is it sells oil in US dollars and then recycles this money back into the American economy. So if the GCC were to abandon the petrodollar, then this would have severe repercussions on the American economy. Also, there'll be a chain reaction in that Japan and South Korea would look at what's happened in the Middle East and decide that the United States can no longer guarantee their safety. So they would have to remilitarize, and they would have spent all the resources on adapting to the possible China threat. And then you have Europe, and then Europe would look at what happened in the GCC as well as in Southeast Asia, and they would be like, why are we fighting Russia? Wouldn't it be in our best interest to negotiate a peace treaty with Russia as soon as possible? What this would mean the collapse of the US dollar as a global reserve currency. Remember that America is sitting on $39 trillion in debt. And so the American economy is a Ponzi scheme that relies on foreign nations to continually buy US dollars. So the US economy would not be able to withstand essentially American withdrawal from the Middle East. So the Americans are stuck where they are right now, unfortunately.
What is the Chinese perspective on this? I mean, it seems like China has an interest in...
Well, China has been going off on the United States. They are known to be an ally of Iran, ally of Russia, ally of Cuba, was an ally of a lot of countries, right? But they believe in soft power and diplomacy and, working behind the scenes, pumping their money into infrastructure, issuing loans, and then getting them repaid, the way the United States did diplomacy for the last 30 years before Trump won, right? We will provide aid, food to countries in exchange for, and give them cash in exchange for their loyalty, right? So that's the way we maintain the whole system of America's soft power. But at a certain point, we decided to give up on that soft power. And mostly during Trump's first term. And then Joe Biden came along and rolled back a lot of stuff that Trump was trying to do. And then now that changed. And now Trump changed a lot of the things, right? He took us out of the Iran nuclear deal, right? That was signed by Obama and several world leaders. He withdrew us from that. He withdrew us from the Paris Climate Accords. He withdrew us from a lot of so many back-to-back things that Trump has done. And he also has threatened to withdraw us from NATO, to pull us out from NATO. He's now showing that the United States is not a reliable trade partner. We don't respect other nations' sovereignty, their ability to self-determine and make the rules for themselves. So this is where we are now. This is where we're at, everyone. This is where we are at. And I don't see an off-ramp right now, even though Trump is saying we're going to end it soon. I think he's just trying to calm the markets down so the markets won't slip. But as soon as the markets start going down, I'm sure he'll be ready to attack more, right? And I've been saying over and over, most Americans are not hit by missiles or drones, so they see it as a distant war that doesn't affect them. But it's going to start hitting people's pocketbooks. It already has started hitting people's pocketbooks, where gas has gone up like crazy, electricity, heating, everything's shooting up. And the working person is struggling to survive, trying to find side jobs, trying to do 2 and 3 jobs, because no longer whatever they make is enough to at least the minimum pay, pay everything. So listen to this, right? Let's listen to Tucker Carlson just a little bit more, and then we're gonna move on from him.
Peace in the Persian Gulf with those 7 oil producing countries. Why wouldn't China step in and try and settle this?
So both the United States and China benefit from the status quo. And China has a vested interest in seeing a very quick solution to this war in the Middle East. China imports about 40% of its energy needs from the GCC. So not just Iranian oil, but also Qatari natural gas.
Right.
So as you point out, China very much wants to see, as soon as possible, a ceasefire.
Yes, China has been calling for a ceasefire repeatedly, but Donald Trump said he's not signing a ceasefire. He's not agreeing to a ceasefire. They'll withdraw, but there will be no ceasefire with Iran. There will be no deal with Iran. If the United States withdraws, there's not going to be negotiations, and there's no guarantee that they won't be resumed airstrikes if Iran does not do what they're supposed to do. Right? Trump said there's no ceasefire. That's off the table. China has been saying they want a ceasefire. And Trump had to travel to China this month, and he postponed his trip, supposedly by 6 weeks. So I'm not sure what's happening. The only way we know what's happening is till it happens, right?
Unfortunately, it is the nature of the Chinese government not to interfere in foreign affairs. China doesn't really have a geopolitical framework, a grand strategy.
So, yeah, they don't interfere in world diplomacy, like in that angle. China's more focused on China. What's good for China? What's good for building itself up? They're not really worried about other countries, but they do it to build power, soft power, to build themselves up. And we just got to realize that China and Russia have been providing intelligence to several countries, right? They've been providing intelligence, right? Let's see what people got to say. Hello. How you doing today?
Oh man, what's going on?
How you doing? How's everything? I'm good.
Man, so just another day in the USA fighting against fascism and dictatorship. Oh man,
They don't like
this is
that.
crazy work.
It's crazy, but they don't like it because they're brainwashed. The MAGA people,
Yeah.
they just showed a CNN poll that that 100% of MAGA people are approve of the job that Trump is doing, and 100% of MAGA people agree with the war in Iran.
They said no new wars, man.
They don't
said
care.
He said he was the president of peace. They said peace in the Middle East. Oh man.
And today he said we think he's withdrawing from Iran, but he's not willing to do a ceasefire, and he's also not promising that more war wouldn't resume, right? So he's on some craziness.
Right, but he's also sitting over here asking for $200 billion of our tax-paying dollars for this fucking war. They spent $11 billion for this war, just like $11 billion for what they've been doing right now. Do you know what $11 billion would do for this country? This country right here, in this country.
I mean, just yesterday we lost a lot of money because the F-35 plane is almost $1 trillion. It's worth almost $1 trillion.
Right, he's using our missiles. They use a torpedo.
Yeah.
Do they think this shit is it's not expensive?
Expensive.
Crazy work.
And the Lincoln, the USS Lincoln, he says that it was safe, that there was just a fire on board, that it wasn't hit. But the videos I saw was that it was hit and it was on fire. You know, that it had a
People are trying to play us.
yeah, it was a lot of damage.
To play the American people like we are just
Yeah.
stupid. I mean, these MAGA dummies are the stupidest people ever. You're like, love you, brother. It's like I just don't get it. It's just like it don't make sense.
And
this is not making sense.
So it's 2 F-35s, so that $1 trillion each that were shot down, and 3 F-15s, which are very expensive planes too, and 2 refueling planes that were also shot down.
Right, but not even only that. When we sat over here and boom them last year, we used stealth fucking planes. Those planes are $2.1 billion by themselves, and he used fucking like 5 of them motherfuckers. Dumpy is just like spending our money like we are, like it is.
Yeah.
He's tripping.
It's his personal piggy bank.
He is tripping. I don't understand.
He's spending his personal piggy bank, and people are putting excuses for him. Congress hasn't even called him in, or anyone of his administration, to explain what is going on. They've had briefings, but then they're saying that the briefings are just like they're just beating around the bush. They're not really explaining to them what's happening. They're just saying, "Oh, it's gonna end soon." They keep saying the same thing. They've been saying that for 2 weeks already.
Right, we got these motherfuckers back. They don't know what he got concepts of playing.
Yeah.
He just got concepts of he just over his old, incompetent, incoherent, narcissistic, loony bin ass is sitting over here making decisions. He should not be in the office. He is demented. He's got dementia. He got bruises everywhere. He got freaking Captain Cankles. He over here sleeping. He's commander in sleep. That's who's leading us in the battle? The one that dodged the draft 5 times? Absolutely not. His ass is the worst president ever. This is nonsense. Why are we doing this?
But he has 100% approval rating among MAGA people.
Absolutely not. I gotta find these MAGA dummies. It's getting harder and harder.
MAGA people are not. Yeah, the MAGA people are not turning on him, but they just laying low. They just don't want to. They don't want anyone questioning them. They don't want anyone saying it. And like what they're doing is wrong. And in the end of the day, I think it's white nationalism and white supremacy. These guys are white supremacists, and they think that he's their glorified leader. And if you hear, Hegseth has been saying that we're the chosen people, that God chose us.
Well, it's so funny how they sit over here and talk all this shit on fucking other countries, and sit over here and said that they were shithole countries, and then Dumpy wants to go bend the knee and beg them to sit over here and help us, and nobody wants to help us because you've already isolated us from our allies. Like we told you, dummies, that they were. I gotta go find these maggots. Hey, you know, it's always good to see you. You better go ahead and keep going.
Yeah.
Go find these maggot dummies because I
All right, take care of yourself.
My 20-year-old baby to war.
He says he doesn't want a ceasefire in Iran war, but he's gonna pull out, but he doesn't want a ceasefire. So if he pulls out,
I thought he was the one that did the ceasefire earlier when, Kamala Harris and Biden were leaving. Remember when they all said, "It was Biden that did that." What happened to that? You know what? I got.
You know what he did today?
What?
He released the strategic oil reserves. The same moment when they went hard on Biden for doing that.
Yes. They went hard on Biden for everything, right?
Yeah.
Now the reserves. He's dipping into the reserves. Okay.
He's dipping into the reserves, and now they're like, because it's a war.
Shit is about to go.
It's
I'm about to hit your fan. I'm gonna hit your fan.
All right. All right. Take care. Have a good night. Take care of yourself. Thank you for
you too.
getting on the show.
Keep up because you're doing a great job.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was really high on TikTok. I was like in B1, and then I was like, you know what? I quit. I was like getting into the A category, gaining a lot of followers, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this. It's too time consuming. I got frustrated with the MAGA people trying to bring reason into their head, and every day was the same exact objections.
And it's still like that. They're still poorly educated code dummies. So don't worry. You keep up the fight. You keep saying what you're saying because it's good to see you.
All right. Take care of yourself. Have a good day. Okay.
You too, bro. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Everyone, let's hear what Trump is saying now.
moves, the Marine Corps may be the key. Let's take a quick look at the USS Tripoli and what it's going to be, what it looks like as it comes in from the Sea of Japan. That's the aircraft carrier. What are they going to be deployed to do? They got about 2,500 Marines on board. What are they ready to do? To take some. They could take an island if they wanted to. They got about between 2,500 and 5,000. Where might they be heading? Possibly to this Gulf. Not just Karg Island, which the president at this hour is considering not only blowing up the military elements of it, which he did on Friday, but actually taking it if he chose to. He thought that was a tactic that would reopen the strait because 90% of the oil that Iran uses and refines comes through there. There's also Kish Island, and there's also another island right over here that is going to be key. Real quick about what this actually looks like. This is an island. This is a look at what Karg Island looks like. We've blown up the military installations on it, but notice we've left all this intact. If we took it and we hold it, the negative part about that, it would be a target should any type of ship want to lob anything in there or drones come in there. And what is the area that we're focused on? Right here. We open this up, price of oil drops down, all the pressure releases. There's a lot of different things to do, and we're still making progress elsewhere.
I don't know. I don't know. It looks like they'll be sitting ducks. So, I mean,
let's bring in retired four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman of the Institute of War.
These are
General
Hex's
Jack Keane.
friends.
General, what kind of
these are Hex's
progress are we
friends.
making now 21 days in?
These are Hex's friends, you know, Fox News friends that probably love Hexec. So I don't
Well, it's
know.
very significant. You heard it from the president yesterday, also from a chairman and the Secretary of War, and Admiral Cooper, who's the CENTCOM commander. They're all on the same page. We're on plan and making significant progress here and stripping away what our mission is, all the offensive capability that Iran has, and we're well into that, certainly. And in dealing with that, we're making certain that the Straits of Hormuz also is getting a focus here for all the obvious reasons. And that's why you see Apache helicopters being applied. The A-10, for our audience to understand, is a close air support.
Where did he get that pin? Everyone, you see that pin? The pin is American and Israeli flag pin. A retired general. You gotta be kidding me. Right? I thought you worked for the United States. Who you working for, sir? Excess boy.
It's not like the normal fighter F-16.
That's like Hexet's boy, right? Hexet's boy. So why wouldn't he say whatever P. Hexet wants to say? Misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding with the Europeans. Everyone hit the like button. What's going on? Where's the likes? On TikTok, where are the likes? Where's the likes? Where's the follows? Come on, people. You're slacking. You're slacking. Where's the follows? Where's the likes? Numbers are slacking. These guys are insufferable, right? These military leaders that are, you see his pin, the America, Israel pin, talking about how everything's going so well and how we haven't, with everything's going well, that we're stripping Iran of any offensive weapons. Man, oh man, oh man, oh my. Right? This is too much for me. Let me move on a little bit before I move on to the next topic. Before I log off. It's been a long day, right? Right before I log off. So today is today is a religious holiday, right? And Eid or Eid, I don't know what the right way to say it, but it's a Muslim holiday. There was no school in public school. So let me add it to the stage. Let's move over to some local politics. Right, in New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani was celebrating Eid. Eid. I'm not sure how to say it. Sorry. I guess I'll learn
With
once
all
I
of
watch
you
the
on this
video.
blessed day, I want to say thank you to the Brooklyn Islamic Center.
Of reflections and say, brothers and sisters, after Ramadan,
Eid Mubarak! Eid Mubarak! Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is such an honor to be here with all of you on this blessed day. I want to say thank you to the Brooklyn Islamic Center.
So what's the big deal? What's the big deal? This is his religion. So we respect it, right? The mayor of New York City is Muslim. So what? Right? So what? I don't find a big deal, right? I don't find it a big deal, right? Look at this guy. He looks like a tourist. You seen this? You know who this guy is? He looks like a tourist. So, I had to respond right away. Annoy people. That's what I specialize in. This is Hasan Piker in Cuba. Right? Hasan Piker in Cuba. Enjoying his little vacation away from America. Right? So, Why do people find it such a big deal that why is it that the left is out of control? That's the people's right. Why do people assume that it's always out of control, right? And I guess this is what we voted for, right? A government shutdown. Right, there's still a government shutdown. And these are the lines because the TSA agents with all the flight cancellation. This is what people voted for, right? With the TSA shutdown, this is the mess that people are experiencing. Hour-long waits in the airport. This is what you voted for, people. You wanted this country like this, right? You voted for this mess, right? You voted for this mess. LaGuardia Airport, right? This is what everyone wanted, right? The lines are ridiculous. The lines are ridiculous, right? The lines are ridiculous in LaGuardia Airport, believe it or not. But what I really wanted to do was focus on local politics, right? A little bit, not too much. So what do you think? What do you think, everyone? It's a Muslim holiday. So the mayor in New York City is Muslim. So he's celebrating Eid. And Catholics, we also celebrate Lent, right? It's a time of Lent. So we do fasting.
There was something that someone said at an iftar that we just hosted at City Hall the other night, which really stayed with me, though, is how Ramadan is also a lesson in the shallowness of instant gratification, of how you spend all day craving food and craving water and anything you could fill yourself with. And then as soon as you break your fast, just a few minutes into eating, you already feel full. And it's as if you didn't spend that whole day dreaming of that very moment.
We call it the city that never sleeps, but the atmosphere of New York City changes all of a sudden when Ramadan comes. All I think about is peace and quietness.
Many ask me what it means to be the first Muslim mayor of our city. And in that question, there is an assumption that I am introducing our faith to the city as a whole, when in reality, Our faith has been a part of this city for generations. The question of whether it's been seen is another matter entirely. But Muslims and New York City, they are intertwined.
So what do you think, everyone? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know. So I'll end on that note. I appreciate you all for the follows, for the shares, for the comments. Thank you for making this broadcast popular. I don't have Hasan Piker's numbers, but it's getting more popular. I have 400 viewers in one day, which is great. And then I have some TikTok videos that have 5,000, 10,000 viewers, some YouTube Reels or Facebook Reels or Facebook Shorts. I mean YouTube Shorts, Twitch. I appreciate you all. I really do appreciate you all. And it's great to see you all. Let me play this clip one more time, right?
There was something that's...
Let me play this clip one more time and try to do something with it, right? Let's do... Thank you for chatting, everyone. Grab a clip, everyone. Grab a clip and clip it.
Everyone. Grab a clip and clip it, 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 everyone.
Someone said at an iftar that we just hosted at City Hall the other night, which really stayed with me though, is how Ramadan is also a lesson in the shallowness of instant gratification, of how you spend all day craving food and craving water and anything you could fill yourself with. And then as soon as you break your fast, just a few minutes into eating, you already feel full. And it's as if you didn't spend that whole day dreaming of that very moment.
We call it the city that never sleeps, but the atmosphere of New York City changes all of a sudden when Ramadan comes. All I think about is peace and quietness.
Many ask me what it means to be the first Muslim mayor of our city. And in that question, there is an assumption that I am introducing our faith to the city as a whole, when in reality, our faith has been a part of this city for generations. The question of whether it's been seen is another matter entirely. But Muslims and New York City, they are intertwined.
It was social media. I think social media has always been good. It has always been on point. So I appreciate you all. I need new mics. I need new everything, right? You heard that, everyone? I need new mics. I need new everything. I need everything new. A new camera, new, um, more clearer, uh, so you could hear me better. I won't have the echo in the background. Okay. Yeah, the echo. I need new mics and computers and camera. And I can't only be one person on myself. Even if people might not like the way I carry myself, the way I speak, I appreciate you for enjoying my show and enjoying the way I speak, that I could be myself, right? Right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a happy Eid and a happy St. Joseph Day, and for Catholics that celebrate. And what else is there? A lot of love and a lot of respect. May peace be with you. And even these times of war and these times of struggle, it's gonna get expensive. People are gonna struggle. Stay strong, everyone. Don't give in to the dark forces of capitalism, because these are the ills of capitalism. We're always on a voyage of trying to acquire more and more money, right? That's the problem with capitalism. We're always trying to acquire more money. We're always trying to acquire more money. We're always trying to get more money, right? That's the weakness of capitalism. The weakness of capitalism is that it's, it's always trying to look for profit, always trying to get more and more money. Capitalism is not happy with less money. Capitalism is always happy with the more money it gets, right? It's happy. That's just a reality. Capitalism is happy, but its thirst is never quenched. Its appetite for profits is never silent. Um, it's never quieted. Everyone, double tap on the screen, like the live, share the live. I appreciate you all for joining me. Um, right, I do need a clearer camera, clearer microphone, set up a professional everything, right? Ramping it up. Um, like I said before, I was really high on TikTok and I was being rated very high. And then I stopped doing it because I got frustrated with the 100% support Trump supporters, right? It's frustrating sometimes to try to convince people that maybe they're voting against their own best interests. Maybe they're supporting things that are not going to help them. How do you tell people that whatever they're doing is not going to help them? How do you tell people that? Right? How do you convince people that maybe the system that we have is corrupted and maybe we need a better system that could benefit more people? How do I convince people that we can make a change in the world, that we could make a change in our own country, that we can make a change in our local politics, our state politics, our federal politics, but we have to get involved. Change doesn't come easy, though. Change never comes easy. And it will never be easy, change. But we got to try, even if we fail. Even if we fail, we got to try. Um, I appreciate you all. Um, double tap on the screen, like the live, share the live, subscribe, hit the follow button. And so next time when you see me live, you'll be able to follow me. You'll be able to see me live, and we'll send you a notification. Hit the bell. Hit the bell. Let's get more people in here, more discussion. Thank you for your comments. And I appreciate you all for coming on. And have a good day. Have a good night. Many blessings. And like I said before, may God be with you. And I'm going to keep making these lives, but I'm going to make them longer and longer, cover more topics. Iran has been big on the spectrum, but I think Iran is just it just shows us that we're too dependent as a country on fossil fuels from other countries. And when they say, oh, we have a lot of oil in the United States, yeah, we produce oil, but the oil we have is not used for manufacturing. The oil we use is the cheaper oil, right? That other countries use, right? The oil we use is a thicker oil, which is what Venezuela has, and Iran has, and only certain countries have the oil we want, right? So we don't have enough refineries. So it could be easy for them to say that we have a lot of oil, but there's no way to refine it. That's the problem. We don't have refinery capacity because the moment that you try to build a refinery, refineries use a lot of chemicals. Refineries use a lot of serious chemicals that are harmful to the environment. So nobody wants a refinery in their backyard, right? No one wants a refinery in their own backyard. So it's been very hard to be able to even build any refineries. But I'm not justifying our over independence on carbon fuels, right? But we were investing in renewable energies for a while, and then somehow we just gave up and stopped producing renewables. I don't know what happened, but Trump happened, and he started to roll back a lot of the initiatives that were made for renewables, green energy. That was the whole reason why he did it, was because we need to depend less on these fossil fuels, right? These fossil fuels make us dependent on them. And then we struggle and prices skyrocket because of a president that's thirsty on war, right? Warmonger, right? He wants war just to show his power, just to prove his vanity that he no one can mess with him and his country. So, but I appreciate you all. May God be with you once again. Peace be with you. Thank you for joining me live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and now Substack. Make sure you comment below, write as many comments as you want. I will try to respond, and also try to like, hit the subscribe or follow button, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Have a good night.